meeting to order. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Everybody's got their mics up? Are there any additions or corrections to the consent calendar?
So,
Second.
You call roll.
Commissioners Garbers.
aye.
Biggers.
Aye.
Larson. Aye. York. Aye. Mayor Lundstrom.
Aye.
Do it backwards. Confused me when I started.
Okay, are there any visitors to be heard tonight? On anything that is not on the agenda? If not, we'll move forward. There is no old business, so we'll move on to new business. Tonight we'll have the first reading for the 2025 appropriation ordinance. Finance Officer Kyle Schwab will present the 2025 appropriations ordinance. And a motion is required to make amendments and give first reading. Are you ready?
I think so. For the most part, the budget I presented, I don't even know.
I don't hear you where it is. Hold on a second.
It says it is.
This
You got dead batteries.
No,
No?
now try it.
Not better.
There you go.
There you go, okay. For the most part, the requests that the superintendent's made, I kept. I removed large projects out that we will do potentially next year if money allows. With everything going on, I didn't feel we needed to get real carried away in the budget. Library roof is okay, it's getting due, but we can do that potentially with surplus funds if we have any left over after this flooding, because the flooding is going to cost us 10%. So I balanced the budget to the point of $150.
Any questions?
Motion for first reading.
Okay, we have a motion, so nothing else. Okay, next on the agenda is the Planning and Zoning Commission appointment. The ordinance to update the Planning and Zoning Commission from 5 members to a 7-member board includes a city commissioner and or mayor became effective July 3rd, 2024. An ad was run in the July 11th and July 25th editions of the Sioux Valley News for the new open position. It was also posted on the city website, app, and Facebook on July 23rd. 3 phone calls were received at City Hall inquiring about the opening, with one of the people who called submitting an email and or a written interest, which was Brian Reniker. Chairman Sean called and interviewed Brian, and given Brian's experience as a land surveyor and community/regional planning classes taken, feels he would be a good fit. The Planning and Zoning Commission met on August 27th and recommends the appointment of Brian Reniker to the Planning and Zoning Commission for a new 3-year term. And
Motion.
we have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Call roll.
Commissioners York. Aye. Larson. Aye. Biggers.
Aye.
Garbers.
Aye.
Mayor Lundstrom.
Next, we have a city appointment for Planning and Zoning Commission. With the ordinance update for the Planning and Zoning Commission from 5 members to 7 members, including the city commissioner and the mayor, became effective July 3rd. The city commissioner or mayor needs to be appointed to the Planning and Zoning Commission. And I would like to appoint Paul Garbers for that.
Okay.
Okay, so would there,
I'll make a motion to appoint Paul.
okay,
Second.
a motion in a second, would you like to call roll?
Commissioners Larson. Aye. Biggers.
Aye.
Garbers.
Aye.
York. Aye. Mayor Lundstrom.
Aye. Next, we have a resolution for an applicant agent. As part of the flood resiliency and economic recovery support program, the city of Canton needs to appoint an applicant agent to sign the 404 reports. Motion is needed to appoint the mayor and authorize me to sign.
Motion to approve.
Motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Call roll.
Commissioners Biggers,
Aye.
Garbers,
Aye.
York, Larson, Mayor Lundstrom.
Next on the agenda is a match commitment letter. As part of the flood resiliency and economic recovery support program, the city of Canton needs to approve the match commitment letter. Motion is needed to approve the match commitment letter and a second.
Motion to approve.
So motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Is there any questions on this? If not, you want to call roll?
Commissioners Garbers,
Aye.
York, Larson, Biggers,
Aye.
Mayor Lundstrom.
Aye. Next on the agenda, we have a statement of interest. The city received 2 statements of interest from engineering firms to assist with flood resiliency and economic recovery planning. Harley from CCOG will be present to answer any questions. So,
Alicia and I did open them up today, and we got, like I said, I did get 2. And her and I met, and then we talked on the phone. I guess Harley, if you wanted to come up to see if there's any questions, I do have a few. Yeah, I think they both did a very good job of sending them their booklet. But I guess my question is, you've dealt with it. What should we be looking to decide which firm we should choose from?
So I guess depending on, it's up to you guys, and the discretion of, the board and stuff like that. It's just based off your procurement policy. So it depends on, who you go with as far as, scope of work, experience, and those sorts of things, relationship.
Have you dealt with these statements of interest a lot or not?
Yes, sort of. Some of them, like if they're over a certain amount, you can do it. Otherwise, in like emergency situations, like depending on what FEMA and them require of you.
For the sort of board knows, what should we expect payment-wise and service-wise from firms?
Well, depending on the scope of work and, the area, it varies between the contracted amount. I worked with a smaller town who, that was 2019 when they submitted that. So that was like around 21,000, which again, that's a very small town. So, the price I'm sure is a little bit more this time around. So I would maybe expect to see like a 50 to 70,000 for a study, depending on the size and everything like that in the specific area.
And that would give us what recommendations for action?
Yeah.
This hydrologist, can you explain what that is?
Yeah, so the hydrologic and hydraulic study is a study of movement of water, including the volume and rate of flow as it moves through a watershed, basin, channel, and a man-made structure. So the purpose of a H&H study is to ensure structures are sized correctly to handle water floods or floodwaters while not inadvertently increasing flooding up or downstream. The studies are performed to quantify the volume flow rate of water draining from a watershed or drainage area. So it'd be like maybe Beaver Creek, and determine the depth and velocity of flow and forces from flowing water on a surface or a hydraulic structure.
last question too. My question is, what can you personally help us with?
So CCOG will help apply for the funding for this study. Through FEMA.
loans, grants?
Yep, it's the federal emergency management agency. So this program is either BRIC, which is Building Resilience Infrastructure and Communities, or the Hazard Mitigation Grant Program through South Dakota OEM and FEMA. So what we do is we just help submit the application itself. If it is awarded, then you would award an engineering firm to complete that study. So like no surveying, no nothing should be going on like right now, just after an award is awarded, if awarded.
Is this something that's normally awarded after floods? I mean, because we're not gonna, until it would flood again, there would be a need for it.
Right.
Have we ever done a study like this before?
We haven't done one to probably the extent of this one. Myron with JSA, our city engineer, has done some small ones. Myron, do you want to speak a little bit? I know you've done a couple small ones, but hasn't really done probably the depth that this one will.
You don't get to sit down. You don't get to sit down.
I don't get to sit down. Okay.
Back in, I think it was 2010, the council at that time retained JSA to do basically a master drainage study for the entire community, where we do have various drainage basins within the community defined, and problem areas within the community identified with some preliminary concept projects that would help alleviate some of the flooding in those areas. One of those areas obviously is the North Cedar Street Basin. That a lot of that flow comes down the tracks and down Cedar Street, like everybody knows. We provided a couple of concept projects that need further investigation, but we've identified a couple of potential solutions for those. Also identified the area around the courthouse and kind of the central area there. A lot of that water is coming from Cedar Street, North Cedar Street. Concept that we laid out for that was another storm sewer outfall to the Big Sioux. So those, we've done some various hydraulic and hydrologic studies for the community. Back in that 2010, 2011 is probably the largest one that we've done community-wide. So we kind of start with that. That's a good base. We used XP Swim software. It's just a hydraulic and hydrology software. We inputted all the community's storm sewer system, all the sizes and elevations. So all that information's been accumulated. We've modeled it, so we've got a good base to start looking at various scenarios of, what can you do? Then once we figure out what you can do, what are those costs? Get the community buy-in. A lot of information has to be out in the public to say, this is what we're planning on doing. This is why we're doing it. And this is what the improvements are going to be. And teaming with HDR here, Todd Yurden or TJ Yurden, he's done quite a bit more on the H&H studies than I have. But with their team, with their strategic communication teams, with all the just that communication with the public, keeping them informed of what to do if there is a flood. What do you do? Who do you call? Kind of having a one, rather than, Paul, you getting 45 phone calls for flooding purposes. If we can provide that service to the city first before a flood event, making sure that there's enough information out there where your residents know what they need to do, before, during, and after a flood event. And I think that just needs to, with our SOI, that would be kind of part of that statement of interest that we would provide to you. Getting back to like the cost of services, we would sit down if we are selected. We'd sit down with yourself or a group of the community and really determine what do you want out of this. Do you want just an H&H study, or do you want more than that? Do you want to start putting your utilities into a GIS system to make it handier for everybody to use? How much of this strategic communication do you want a professional staff to do? We can lay all that out, give you the cost associated with those, and then you can kind of choose, do as much or as little as you think that the community can take on. Kind of a long answer to maybe a short question, but
Your 2010-11 study, when you said you did that one, is that somewhere that Alicia can find? And can you tell me, when you brought the report, what got done?
basically we brought the report, and from that point, a couple of the smaller options I believe have been addressed over time. The report and costs have always been out there, but they're 13 or 14 years old now. But nothing. Dakota Street was that was one area, and that area got taken care of here a few years ago. But other than just having that information on hand and the costs on hand, really nothing's proceeded forward from that point. And that's something, I know the city has that information, but I can certainly provide it all again.
You could,
Yeah.
You're right, Alicia, where she can find
Sure,
it.
I will do that.
It would-
Because I'd hate for you to start from scratch, because you have, prior, you have expended, city funds prior on a good basis of this information.
Because if I remember correctly, that was a phase one of a three-phase,
Correct,
right?
correct.
And so the phase one got done, but the other two have not.
Because we need to find a source of revenue, find the bakers, whether it be working with a study with CCOG and reaching out for federal money, right?
Just nothing
That's-
really's been found to date.
Okay.
Question for you, if there's that study that's out there, would that be helpful 13 years later?
Water moves and the environment moves. After doing some of like the PDM studies and reports and stuff, I mean, data just kind of shows that now, floods are starting to occur more often than not, every 5 years. And so, I mean, whether it'll be helpful in the next 13 years, I would say that it would at least be helpful in the next 5-10 years. So depending on what the results are of this study. And then FEMA does help pay for storm drainage projects. So, I mean, whatever came out of the study, if there was an eligible project that met a benefit cost analysis of a 1 or greater, you could apply for FEMA for those types of funding.
Is there a special classification that we need to meet in order to qualify for these?
Yeah, you have to meet a benefit cost analysis. So the benefit has to outweigh the cost of the total project. So it has to be a 1 or greater. It's a little bit complicated to explain just because there's differences in them. So it's different from like if you're applying for a safe room versus a generator project. If you're going to apply for a drainage project, then that determine like, are there structures that are repeatedly getting flooded out, at a certain time, storm damage reports and stuff like that. I mean, that helps increase that BCA.
No, you came with us when we first met that one time.
Yeah.
We've been up there since, but, and we got the school involved, the railroad company, we just signed, or got a meeting later on this week about them. Lincoln County's been up there with Harold, Jim Gibbons was there last Friday.
Yeah.
Do we take everybody's property and look at it, or if it's just the city, do we just look at the city property, or what's the study consist of? I mean, I look at, once it hits the city property, which is at the chain link fence of the school, pretty hard to stop rushing water, and that's what we got at our property.
Yeah.
Would it take to say the school needs to do this, or a farmer to the north needs to do that? I mean, I don't know if we're talking a mile and a half, or 2.5, or 4 miles that we got rushing water.
Mhm.
Can we expect them to address other people's property too?
I'm not too sure. I mean, I guess whatever the,
That's why I'm going with that, is this, the school, they were asked Friday what damage they had.
Mhm.
They didn't really have any, so why, I'm not saying the school is not cooperating, not at all, but how do we,
I think it would be a right of way. So I mean, if the city wanted to go forward, like whatever came of the study, and you wanted to do a project, I think it would just be, right of way, getting easements and stuff as far as, and then just collaborating, some agreements with the school landowners.
if I wanted to set up a committee to decide, task force committee or whatever, to decide which of these two we want to use? With your position, can you be on?
Can I be on it?
On
Is
the
that-
committee?
At looking at these books, we have to decide between one of these two.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking for your expertise. So can you be part of that? Because what I'd like to do is, I don't think we're gonna come to a conclusion which one we're gonna choose tonight. So if we set up a committee to decide to bring it to the commission, that's where I'm asking if you can be on it, or because of your role at CECOG, you're not allowed.
I think because of my role, I wouldn't be allowed. That'd be on the cities and your committee to make that decision.
Liaison.
Any other questions for Harley? Okay, thanks, Harley.
Thank you.
So,
Can I say something? I guess,
come forward.
thanks. For those of you that don't know me, my name's Bob Hilt. I live on South Pleasant. Since I lived there and moved in 2011, I've gotten flooded out twice. Not flooded out, but damage in my basement. Had to haul carpet out, had water damage, all that stuff. But I see an ongoing problem, and it's drainage. And I realize we're working on getting that farther south of me. But what I also see is when I get up in the morning that my basement flooded, I was surrounded by water there. So that water didn't come from my property, it came from somewhere else, and that's upstream. So what Paul is saying, and what we're all agreeing on, is it flows downhill, so it came from somewhere, and that being north of here. So I don't think, and it just makes sense to me, that we've got to stop it somewhere farther north. And I think of Lake Lakota down here. That wasn't built for recreation. It wasn't built for fence. That was built as flood control. Now, we got FEMA in town, and we talked a little bit about FEMA, but maybe we need to be, or somebody needs to be, I don't know who it is, Governor Nome or somebody. Maybe Canton needs a little affirmative action, pre-planning for the next rain, because the next rain's gonna happen. It happens all the time. Maybe we need some flood control up north of here. What's happened in the last 10 years is, Paul can attest to it, any farmer north of here, we've drained this farmland and it's went down. All that drain tile, it's coming down here to us, into my yard, in our streets that I realized the city crews were patching today. It's gonna happen again. Maybe we're not gonna get 20 inches, maybe we're gonna get 10 inches. It's gonna happen again. And I think maybe we need to, the studies that we're doing, okay, but let's not wait 10 years to implement some of those studies. Let's get on the stick and be a little proactive. It's gonna happen again. It doesn't do me any good to put another sump hole in my basement to pump it out into the lake that's sitting out there, because I continually pump and pump and pump and pump. And then my sump pumps can't keep up. And then I gotta fix my basement again. And then FEMA's gonna be here again and again and again. So we gotta get after it and prevent it somehow. It's upstream, it's here in the city, bigger storm sewers, get it in the Sioux River and get it in the Gulf of Mexico, because it all goes downhill. Thank you.
Thanks.
Chad Scales, North Dakota Street. I'm just going to add one other thing on top of what Bob just said, and that is not only he mentioned tiling and
Oh, your mic up.
he mentioned tiling and so forth in the rural area, but let's also not forget the growth that's happening up. I mean, we have the largest city in South Dakota growing by leaps and bounds closer to us, the towns between us and Sioux Falls, Harrisburg specifically, growing leaps and bounds toward us. That all changes things, and everything, Canton and onward, is affected by that as that growth continues and more concrete is laid. And now that water can't soak into the ground, so it flows and it continues to flow, and we're right in that flow area. So it's not only the rural areas of Lincoln County, but also we have to be looking at, as a person who follows not only city government and Canton closely, I follow county government, city of Sioux Falls government, Harrisburg T government, and it's a very real thing that also needs to be addressed and thought about.
Thank you.
So I'd like to table it, not to make any action tonight, but I would like to make a committee to look in this and decide. I guess with Chris being on the sewer and water, and me being on the street, should be two of you, but I don't know if we want you, Sandy, to be on it, because then we gotta call meetings, it's ain't a big deal, but, and then definitely, Alicia, I don't know if we want an outside person. I know what I want, but I don't know what I want, who should be on it.
Pardon?
I know what we should have as a committee to decide, but I'm just not sure who we want on.
Yeah.
Alicia's made a lot of calls, she didn't reach out to Brookings, because that was one that was in one of the books, she didn't reach out to somebody else, and as far as I know, she didn't hear back today. She's done quite a bit of legwork already, but
So you want to table this for now?
I want to table, but I want to be ready for 2 awards in 2 weeks.
Okay.
No.
Motion,
No motion to table.
do a second.
Second.
Call roll.
Commissioners York. Aye. Larson. Aye. Biggers.
Aye.
Garvers.
Aye.
Mayor Lundstrom.
Aye.
Who do you want? You want Lisa in charge of picking the committee? You okay with that?
What percentage?
Picking the committee.
Oh, yep. How many people?
George.
Ready to go on? Okay, the next, subject is the Helm change order number 4. Burbach submitted change order number 4 for the Canton Community Swimming Pool. The change order is for $654.34 for a combination of adds and deducts for gutter outlet, reroute, valve deduct, chemical tank deduct, test kit, and time extension as requested by the contractor. So this requires a motion in a second.
Motion to approve.
A motion, do we have a second?
Second with discussion.
Okay,
I don't have much to discuss on what's in front of us. Where are we with this swimming pool? We have a walkthrough as far as Helms. Is Helms done?
There's a substantial completion. There's a punch list of items that they were working on. I don't know exactly where they're at with the punch list. That was as of Tuesday last week. But for the most part, they are done. Chris, do you know, did they start to drain down of the pool in winterization?
It was full this afternoon when I drove by.
Okay, is that something they gotta come back and do is work with the staff to train us on drain and they'll come back in the spring to start it?
I believe they were gonna start probably this week. We were gonna start draining it down a little bit, but next week they were planning to do the actual shutdown for the winter. So, obviously we don't wanna feed everything to the sanitary or storm all at once, so we're gonna start slowly starting to discharge. But the other thing too is to get the chemical down to a point that we don't have any left, so.
And I think that'll happen this week.
Yep. Correct.
any other questions?
So when, and what's our warranty with
2 years from the date of completion,
100%?
substantial. So we'll have close to 2 seasons underneath our belt before we.
2 years kind of start now.
Any other questions?
Radar bathhouse is how far off?
I think that was originally scheduled at the end of October, I don't remember.
November.
Was it November? And Schwartzley is on task as far as we know, on time. We didn't have a lot on Tuesday's meeting. I think the basin was gonna be done, or about done. I mean, it's clicking along.
Yeah, it is, and they were going to, if the mason was done, they were going to start forming up and pouring the front. As soon as the mason gets done. So, any other questions?
Receiving in the spring, or receiving next spring?
I think we're gonna start seeding it this fall, hoping for some cooler weather and some rain.
Anything else? We have a motion and a second. I'll call roll.
Commissioners Larson. Aye. Biggers.
Aye.
Beavers.
Aye.
York. Aye. Mayor Lundstrom.
Aye. Next on the agenda is the Beaver Creek pay application number 6. GSA submitted a pay application for Beaver Creek Trunk Sewer Project. This pay application is for $511.43, and the breakdown of this payment was attached. So.
I'll make a motion to do it. I guess if Myron can give us an update of where we're at with that project, that'd be great.
Second.
So starting tomorrow, I believe the contractor will start working in the railroad right away, starting with the manhole at, that'll be that 8th and Pleasant, block north of, just south of the tracks on Pleasant. They're going to start there and start working their way west to Blair Street. They're expecting that to take them roughly 30 days to do that. Their other crews, let's see, they were pouring some concrete today, I believe, on phase two. Phase two, they want to have complete, I believe, in the next 3 weeks. So that would be curb and gutter and asphalt sidewalk, and then the black dirt down on phase two. At the same time, they'll be working obviously in the railroad right away, and then also on the Blair Street going north to Fifth Street. Contractor is still telling us that they are getting done at the completion date at the end of this year.
Thank you.
So phase two is in all 11th Street?
Phase two is the remainder of 11th and Pleasant Street up to 10th. So there's a little over a block on Pleasant.
That's in phase two.
That's in phase two, correct.
Thanks, Myron. So we have a motion and a second. And a call roll.
Commissioners Biggers.
Aye.
Garber.
Aye.
York. Larson. Mayor Lundstrom.
Aye. Next on the agenda is the Canton Airport, the partial payment number 3 for the taxi lane extension. KLJ submitted for payment in the amount of $23,386.88 to Blacktop Paving for partial payment for the hangar taxi lane extension project. Is this getting close to being done, or is it done? I haven't been out there. Huh?
That's close, this piece is.
And this is the one with the people that have hangers are paying for, correct? Okay. Okay, we have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Call roll.
Commissioners Garber.
Aye.
York. Larson. Biggers.
Aye.
Mayor Lundstrom.
Aye. Next is pay application number 2 for the Canton Industrial Park improvements. Myron is the project engineer with JSA, submitted a pay application for the industrial park improvement project on Innovation Street. This pay application is for $264,823.66. The breakdown of this payment was attached to the agenda, and a motion is required to approve the pay application.
Motion to approve.
Second. Call roll.
Commissioners York. Larson. Biggers.
Aye.
Garber.
Aye.
Mayor Lundstrom.
Aye.
Is there one more, and Myron? Final, is there one more?
There should be, I think we're gonna just do one more, because they got the gravel shoulders and then the seeding to do. I'm guessing here in the next, probably 10 days, that should all be wrapped up.
Can you drive on it yet or not?
You should be able to, they probably still have it closed, because I don't think they've got the shoulders. There's a drop off the edge of the lane, so they're probably gonna try to keep as many people off of there until they get the shoulder gravel in.
Some of the residents that are out there.
Yeah.
Have they striped it, Myron, or that striping wasn't part of it?
Striping is part of it, no, that's not been done yet either.
It is part of it or is not?
It is, correct. Yeah, it's just got the center skip, I think, is.
Okay, next on the agenda is a raffle request for the Catholic Church. They submitted a raffle request for St. Dominic Catholic Church. We'll be holding a raffle, bingo, pull tabs, and dice game with variables per play as part of the St. Dominic's Feast Day Parish Picnic on Sunday, October 13th. Cards will be $1 per card.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Call roll.
Commissioners Larson. Biggers.
Aye.
Garber.
Aye.
York. Mayor Lundstrom.
Aye. Next is the Beaver Creek sanitary sewer repair. I love the repairs going on. During the flooding that happened in June, a section of the gravity flow sanitary sewer was destroyed. When the city learned of the damaged line, we contacted Myron, the city engineer, and he contacted a contractor to set up temporary bypass pumping. A permanent repair is being engineered. Normal bidding procedures would put the completion of this project into the spring of 2025. Due to the bypass pumping being unprotected from the elements, the city engineer thinks that the permanent fix should be done during this construction season. And they attached a letter. Motion is needed to authorize JSA to move forward with the project and solicit 3 contractors to provide bids for Beaver Creek.
Is this just an awarded to the lowest? Is that how it works? If it goes just to my end?
Awarded to the lowest responsible person who quotes.
Yeah.
And part of this is, you know, with a repair like this, there's federal procurement rules that need to be followed. And there are some exigent circumstances that you can go around it, but if we were to follow the procedures set by the feds, we would be into the spring of 2025 with completion, which would leave that line that's running across the bridge exposed to the elements, which, you know, there can be measures taken to insulate it, possibly heat it, but you've got all kinds of things that can happen. Whether it's hit with a snowplow or however, you get a cold snap and you missed a spot, I mean, a 6-inch frozen sewer line would not be fun.
Is there any possibility that it would not be completed if we just went ahead with your proposal? I mean, like unforeseen things that we're not aware of?
Really hard, early winter. The intent is to obtain the quotes.
You probably should come up here in case there's people listening.
Barring, really unforeseen conditions, we've got a completion date of just after Thanksgiving, December 1st or something like that, for all of the work except for the site restoration, which would be like the finished grading and the seeding, which, if we're doing all the work in October, November, probably come back in May to do the final cleanup. But the intent would be to have the gravity sewer operational, I'm hoping before Thanksgiving, but somewhere in that time frame. I'm ready to send out plans to 3 different bidders, with bids due the Monday morning of your next commission meeting, such that would give us time to review those that morning, get that information out to the city, and then come to that commission meeting with a recommendation.
On the 16th?
On the 16th, correct. That gives them, should give a contractor that, 9-10 days to put their bid together.
I don't mind running there, but Kyle, if there's people that are listening, we did meet with Steve, about getting FEMA money or whatever to pay this, and it does sound like it definitely falls within the criteria that they need.
Sure.
That's what, 75, 15, and 10?
I think 80, 10, 10,
Yeah.
I believe is what it would be. 80,
Anyway,
10,
the city
10.
is 10%. I believe, right?
Yeah, we're on 1 for 10.
Any other questions? So we're gonna entertain a motion.
Motion.
Second.
We'll call roll.
Commissioners Figurs,
Aye.
Garvers,
Aye.
York, Larson, Mayor Lundstrom.
Aye. Next is the first reading of ordinance to repeal and reenact Chapter 30. This will be the first reading of an ordinance to repeal and reenact Chapter 30, the mayor and city commissioners. This is in conjunction with setting up for a city administrator. So this is for the first reading, so we just need a motion.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Jackie. Next is the first reading to repeal and reenact or Chapter 31. This will be the first reading of an ordinance to repeal Chapter 31, city officials, and reenacting it as Chapter 31. appointed officers and employees. This is in conjunction with setting up for the city administrator. Just need a motion on this to move forward.
Motion.
Okay. Next, we have the vacant farm ground. The city has land, around the lagoon area that is in need of weed control and in need of being put up for hay. The city is interested in having these done and are accepting proposals for the work to be completed. Proposals are due on September 13th at 3 p.m. And a motion is needed to invite proposals for this.
Motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Call roll.
Commissioners Garbers,
Aye.
York, Larson, Biggers.
Aye.
Mayor Lundstrom.
Next is a 90-day review for Bill Winter. Bill has, he is the utilities foreman and has received his 90-day review after taking the utilities foreman position. He has received a positive performance evaluation and it is being recommended to increase his wage to $29.67, which is a grade 12, step 4.
Second.
Okay. Call roll.
Commissioners York, Larson, Biggers.
Aye.
Garbers,
Aye.
Mayor Lundstrom.
Aye. Next is a change of organizational chart. It's recommended to update the organizational chart to reflect a change in who reports to the utilities foreman position.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, call roll.
Commissioners Larson, Biggers.
Aye.
Garbers,
Aye.
York, Mayor Lundstrom.
Aye. Okay, that concludes the agenda. And, Commissioner Dialogue, do you have anything? Chris? You do not. I just wanted to say to you that, remember last meeting, we talked about the scooters and how dangerous it was?
Yes.
He is having the same problem.
I think our country's.
Yeah. So, because I saw some bunch of complaints about
Those
that.
things are, they're fast, and I think that I've always thought since living here that our intersections are very tight as far as shrubbery and trees are like close to the intersections. So you already can't see, you have to like sneak out there, and then there's not just kids, there's adults on these things too.
I just thought I'd bring that up to you that I saw
Yep.
that this week. Tyler? Jackie?
I'm just gonna let people know that if you're interested in the city administrator position or have any questions, we are doing a forum on September 12th at 6:30 in the Commons. We weren't in time to get it in the paper with the holiday, but it is out on the app and Facebook. And there is contact information for Alicia if you want to email your questions to her ahead of time. That's all.
Paul?
Last Friday, Sandy was there, I was there. Carol Timmerman was there anyway. We met with the railroad to change their mind, I guess, in the future, but he was very acceptable to seeing our problems of seeing the railroad cleaned out. Did ask him about the trees, and that one really surprised me.
Me too.
I think we need to get it on the agenda in 2 weeks or 13 days. What they said is go ahead and get them cleaned up and send us the bill. Which after I caught my breath,
Yeah, we kind of looked at each other, went, wow.
I said, how about if we decide where the right of way is, count the trees. I guess that's what I want.
Get a quote.
And get a quote so we tell them roughly what it's going to cost before we spend it. But I was very encouraged by, I don't remember his name, but he was.
Ben.
Ben.
Yes, he was very agreeable and sees the need to clean the railroad ditches up because that's a hindrance for water flow. That's where a lot of the water is coming down, is the railroad tracks.
So I was impressed with that, and I do believe you have a meeting set up on the 12th?
On Thursday, which
Oh,
is
this Thursday.
the 5th at 3:30.
That's with her.
Correct.
So, hold your fingers that they stay cooperative and hopefully at least get the railroad right away cleaned up.
And I don't have anything except for, the town hall that Jackie brought up, so she already did that, so that's all I have, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Call roll.
Commissioner Figurs?
Aye.
Garbers?
Hi, Jeff, I need to talk to you.
York? Aye. Larson? Aye. Mayor Lundstrom?
5.
Mayor adjourned.
Meeting is adjourned.